How's it going, everybody? Damon What If here, and welcome to the What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans, the movie. But before we begin this part, I just want to give a huge shout out, number one, to all of my fans for being here to watch this whole movie, and number two, to the amazing people in my Discord server who decided that they would make some thumbnails for me for the full movie. So, I just want to give a quick shout out to those guys who had brand new thumbnails for those. Starting off with If Future Trunks Could Change the Past, we have Wavy Oceans, What If Future Trunks Could Change the Past. So, if you like what they made in their thumbnail, make sure to go check out their channel over there. Shade Tux Anime's What If Broly Was Never Exiled cover, which is super dope. Go check out his channel to see more of what he does. Next we have Mixie's What If Goku Never Met Krillin thumbnail right over here, so make sure to go check out their channel to see more of what they do. For this video we got Saiyan Motion's What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans full movie cover, and then go check out his channel right over there. So thank you all for making these thumbnails for the full movies. I think it's super dope to get the community involved with them. So, now without further ado, I present the full movie of What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans. Hope you guys enjoy it.
In Dragon Ball Super Broly, it is revealed that Goku wasn't sent to Earth to destroy the planet, but he was sent there to survive. He got one good long look at his parents before he was sent to Earth. Once he lands, he is found by Grandpa Gohan and taken in. Except this time, the boy isn't rowdy and obnoxious at all. Except, he is rather sad. He constantly looks up to the sky and puts his hand out like he's trying to reach for something that isn't quite there. Gohan watches the boy, and since he came from the sky, he believes the boy is just trying to return to where he came from. Gohan tries to ask the boy for his name, and the boy just responds, Kakarot. Over the years, Gohan trains Kakarot in martial arts, and the two form a very tight bond. As Kakarot gets older, Gohan tries to ask if he remembers anything, and Kakarot tells him he remembers his parents saying that they would come for him as soon as they could, and to not look up at the moon for too long. He doesn't know what that last one means, but he trusts his parents, and he claims he won't look at the moon. Gohan asks if maybe he wants to go out and find them, but Kakarot says that they're on another planet, so it's impossible. Gohan does mention that the city has spaceships, but the last one that they launched failed and almost destroyed the city. That's when Kakarot gets the idea that maybe they could tamper with his own spaceship and be able to send it out into space. This isn't in Gohan's area of expertise, however, and Kakarot begs for them to take the ship and see if they can bring it to a city to get repaired. Gohan doesn't want to take away the opportunity that his adopted grandson may get to see his parents again, so Gohan agrees that they can go. The two track down Kakarot's spaceship, and each take turns carrying it along the mountains to find civilization. It takes them quite a few weeks, but eventually they find a small town, and are able to get directions to the most famous scientist in the world, Dr. Briefs in West City. The two buy some capsules and put Kakarot's spaceship inside, and then go by car to the city of the West. Once they arrive, they make their way to Dr. Briefs and ask if the doctor can fix up his spacecraft and make it able to fly again. The doctor says he may be able to, as he was able to pick up the parts from some alien years back, and maybe he could get it working again. Kakarot is very excited that he may be able to see his parents again, but Gohan tells him that even if they manage to get it fixed up, how's he going to know where to go? Kakarot didn't think this far ahead and asks if there are any maps or anything, which Gohan tells him there are no such thing. Dr. Briefs then tells him that his daughter left yesterday, going to search for some magical balls that could grant any wish, and maybe he could wish for directions. Seeing a chance, Kakarot asks if he can go find the doctor's daughter, and Dr. Briefs, being the nice guy that he is, calls up Bulma and asks where she is, and she responds that she's on Omori's island currently with her sister. Dr. Briefs says that there is apparently an alien boy who would like to join her on her quest here so he can get back home. Bulma would definitely be shocked about hearing about an alien, and Tights and Omori just think it's a friend of Jocko's and tell her that maybe it'll be a fun adventure, like it was for them. Gohan and Kakarot are flown in by helicopter to Omori's island, and the group are surprised to see that this alien looks exactly human, except with a tail. Omori remembers Jocko saying that an alien with a tail was supposed to come to Earth to annihilate them, and Kakarot tells him that he doesn't want to kill anybody, he just wants to see his family again. Omori asks if it would be okay to ask Jocko for directions, since he is a galactic patrolman after all, and would know better than anybody. Kakarot doesn't care at all, since again, he just wants to see his family. Omori calls Jocko, and Jocko would obviously be shocked that the alien did actually show up on Earth, and would rush over as fast as he could. Bulma stays on the island to wait, since learning about alien technology would be very interesting to her, and the Dragon Balls can wait. Once Jocko arrives, he says he's going to have to arrest Kakarot, as his race sent him here to kill all the humans. But Kakarot snaps back, saying his parents sent him here to protect him, and he just wants to go home and meet them again. Jocko then breaks the news that his planet was destroyed by a gigantic meteor, and his parents are most likely dead. This shocks everybody beyond belief, and Kakarot just breaks down crying into his grandpa's arms. Bulma feels really bad for the young boy and says that maybe they can use a wish on the Dragon Balls to bring his parents back. Kakarot perks back up and wonders if this can actually be done, and hope springs back in him again. But once again, Jocko tries to stop him, saying he has to go with him as he doesn't belong on this planet. This is when Gohan steps in and threatens Jocko, saying that he's just a poor boy who wants to see his family, and that Gohan will not allow Jocko to take that away from him, or he's going to get the beating of his life. Being threatened by Gohan, Bulma, and Tights gets Jocko to back down, and he allows Kakarot to go with Bulma. Bulma and Kakarot go on their journey to gather the Dragon Balls, and this entire quest goes on basically as normal, with Kakarot just being less naive and getting straight to the point with his foes, which allows them to easily beat up Pilaf before he has the chance to lock them up. Once the Dragon Balls are gathered, Kakarot wishes for his parents to be brought back to life, but Shenron tells him that the planet they were on was destroyed, and if he brings them back, then they'll just be in the vacuum of space, and die again. So, Kakarot decides to wish back the planet along with everybody on it. And this time, Shenron is able to grant the wish, and all of the Saiyans are brought back to life. Kakarot is beyond happy, and after all the Dragon Balls disappear, the group, with Oolong and Yamcha and Tell, return to Omari's island so Jocko can give directions to Planet Vegeta. Meanwhile, on Planet Vegeta, Bardock falls back down to the planet in shock and confusion. He was just firing at Frieza's death ball a second ago, and he was engulfed, so what exactly happened? Bardock returns to Guinea to see if she's okay, and she's extremely confused as well. King Vegeta, who has returned to life as well, orders the Saiyan troops that they need to escape the planet, as Frieza tried to kill them all, and if he finds out that they're all back somehow, then he'll surely return and kill them all once again. Of course, they really have nowhere to go, and as fast as possible the Saiyans gather in ships and blast off to go find a new planet. Except for Bardock and Guinea. Since Frieza isn't directly over them watching their every move at the moment, they decide now is the only time when they'll be able to go see their son. So they leave the Saiyans and depart to Earth to find Kakarot. Frieza gets an extremely confusing message from his scouts, saying that Planet Vegeta has somehow returned and allowed the Saiyans on it. This news greatly surprises Frieza, and he decides to head off to the planet immediately. Once they arrive, however, the Saiyans are not there. The planet is left completely intact, except all of the ships are missing. And Frieza is enraged on how the monkeys have somehow returned and have slipped past him once again. So Frieza orders all of his soldiers to go out and find these Saiyans and bring them back to his capital for execution. Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz have learned of the planet's restoration as well, and overhear the order for all the Saiyans to die, which makes them put two and two together and realize that Frieza must have been the one who destroyed the planet all those years ago. So, the Saiyans defect from Frieza and try to find out where they can go to find the other Saiyans. Raditz tells the others that his mom sent off his brother to a planet called Earth, so maybe her and his dad escaped there from Frieza, and the others believe it's worth a shot, and Bardock could help them, so they head off to Earth as well. Back on Earth, Kakarot goes to depart with Jocko after a tearful goodbye between him and Gohan, when Jocko suddenly gets a message from the Galactic King that Planet Vegeta was indeed restored, except Frieza is now called a manhunt for every Saiyan in existence. Kakarot has no idea who Frieza is, but knows that this can't be good at all, and Jocko tells him that he's going to have to stay here for now, since if the Frieza forces realize that the Galactic Patrol has a Saiyan in custody, he'll most likely kill them all. So Kakarot should lay low on Earth for now. Kakarot is extremely disappointed and scared that his parents may have been killed again, but Bulma tries to reassure him that now they may be looking for him and might come to Earth. This makes Kakarot feel a little better, and he decides to return home with Gohan for now, in hopes that his parents will arrive. Luckily for him, a few weeks pass, and Bardock and Guinea do indeed land near Gohan's house. Kakarot and Gohan hear the explosion, and go to investigate, and quickly find Bardock and Guinea. Kakarot stares at his parents in disbelief. After all this time, he's been wanting to find them, and finally, here they are, right in front of him, for real. He instantly breaks down crying and runs into their arms, and the family, after so long, finally embrace. Guinea tries to explain to her son that they meant to come for him earlier, but Frieza attacked, and suddenly, he disappeared. They took the opportunity to come and get him. Kakarot explains to them that he found these magical orbs called Dragon Balls, and he used them to wish everybody on his planet back to life. Bardock and Guinea would be extremely confused by this, but it's the only explanation they have, so they believe it. Gohan explains to the Saiyans that a Galactic Patrol officer was here, and said that somebody named Frieza is currently going on a manhunt to find all the Saiyans, so it would be best if they stayed on Earth for now, instead of returning home. Bardock tells them that that was the plan, but they need to go out and find their other son, Raditz, and bring him back here. About like a second after he says that, Vegeta and the others land in the same city that they did in canon, and they go off to find Kakarot. This time though, they ditched their scouters so Frieza couldn't find them, and are basically going blindly throughout the planet. Luckily, Jocko's detector would pick them up, and Bardock, Gine, and Kakarot go to find them, and Gine is shocked that Raditz has finally found his way here, and she rushes in to hug him as well. Later, at Capsule Corp, the group discuss what exactly is going to happen now, since Frieza is going on a manhunt for all the Saiyans, and if he manages to track them down here, then them along with the planet itself are going to be destroyed, since all of the Saiyans combined aren't even enough to take on Frieza. Gohan tells them all that his master trained under one of the gods of Earth, so maybe the group could go up there and train with him. This interests the Saiyans, even though Vegeta isn't very fond of having a teacher, but he's just mad that Frieza lied to them and wants to help take out Frieza too. Once Gohan gets the info that they need from Roshi, the Saiyans head up to Korin's tower. Korin realizes that the Saiyans training under him would be of no benefit to them at all, so he instructs them to go even higher, to Kami's lookout. When the Saiyans get to the lookout, they encounter Kami, and Bardock is very confused on why there would be a Namekian on Earth. And hearing that he's a Namekian would interest Kami, but this isn't the time for that. Kami says he's noticed the Saiyans arriving on the planet, and has heard of the tyrannical dictator that might be arriving soon. So he suggests that the Saiyans train in the hyperbolic time chamber, where you can train for a year and a day. Only 2 people can go in at a time, however, and Bardock says he's going to go in with Kakarot first to train him up a lot more and teach him the Saiyan way of fighting, while the others stay outside. The next 2 to go in would be Vegeta and Nappa, and once Bardock is done with Kakarot, he'll go back in with Raditz and train him up as well. After a few days, everybody emerges from the time chamber, much stronger. Now, to know exactly how strong everybody would be, I used Lytro Storm's calculations on what exactly the multiplier would be for training in the time chamber. So if you want to see how he came up with the multipliers, check out on top to see his video and where I got these from. Bardock and Kakarot went in first, and since Kakarot was so weak, at a power level of about 50, Bardock spent most of his time training his son, and not exactly himself. So he wouldn't get that big of a boost right off the bat. He would most likely get a 3 times increase, which would put him at around 30,000 in power. Kakarot got a lot of training done, and as we know, Goku is a master martial artist and learner, so he would adapt to his father's teaching rather quickly, and due to Bardock's harsher training and the harsh conditions of the time chamber, Kakarot would increase his power from 50 to 3,000 in only a year. Which may seem low, but for right now, it's an insane increase in power, and we're only technically in the first arc of Dragon Ball, and he's already leagues ahead of where he was in the early Saiyan arc of canon. Vegeta and Nappa would go in next, and Vegeta wasn't at his power of 18,000 yet, and I'll say probably around 12,000, with Nappa being at around 3,500. After their training together in the time chamber, Vegeta would increase to a whopping 60,000, with Nappa hitting 17,500. Yeah, the time chamber doesn't mess around. Finally, Bardock goes back in with Raditz, and Raditz is a much better training partner for Bardock than Kakarot was, and the training for Bardock is much more effective, with him getting all the way up to 150,000, while Raditz hits 7,500. Kami is very impressed on how well everybody has done in the chamber over the last few days, but tells them that you can only use the time chamber 3 times in your lifetime, so they can't use it as a viable option much longer, especially in Bardock's case. Of course, even though the Saiyans have got much stronger, it's not enough to be able to beat Frieza and save the Saiyans. This is when Vegeta tells them all that he has the ability to summon a fake moon which can transform them into great apes and give them a fighting chance. Bardock knows this would indeed make them all extremely powerful, but at the risk of making them a larger target and easier to spot. Even with this knowledge, the Saiyans begin to train into great ape forms to try and get Kakarot and Raditz used to them, since they haven't used it much, and in Kakarot's case, not at all. To quickly take a sidestep, Gine has begun work at Capsule Corp being a chef while their family is off training. She prepares a big meal for them after they finish their training session for the day. Frieza's forces have also captured a few Saiyans who landed on other worlds, and although Frieza interrogated them, they have no idea where the rest of the Saiyans went, so they are executed for being useless in Frieza's eyes. King Vegeta and the others have found a far-off planet long abandoned, and while they'd like to plan a coup on Frieza, they realize it would be more dangerous than helpful. So they lie low for the time being. One day, back on Earth, while going to train, Kakarot discovers a power within himself that might be able to change everything. The Wrathful Saiyan form. Now, you may be thinking I'm just pulling this out of nowhere, but Goku has actually used a little bit of this form in canon. If you remember during the fight with King Piccolo, Goku used the power of a Great Ape for his final blow. So, I believe training in Great Ape would allow Kakarot to access this kind of power a lot faster. After showing off this form to the others, the Saiyans would be astonished with the Wrathful Saiyan state, and believe that this is the key to stopping Frieza. Bardock already as a Great Ape is stronger than first form Frieza, so if he can harness its power in his base form, they will win for sure. So, the group make one final time chamber visit, and the Saiyans take turns learning the Wrathful state from Kakarot, and, after all their training, the Saiyans would have access to the Wrathful state and be able to control themselves while in it. Once the group has finished their training, Dr. Briefs has finally finished work on Kakarot's ship, and it's pretty much exactly like the one from the Namek saga. So, the Saiyans bid farewell, and all depart to go take out Frieza. Kine looks up to the sky and tearfully wishes them all luck, and that her and the entire race are rooting for them. Before we start this what if, I have to discuss the problem that many people had, which is that Shenron can't revive people who've been dead for over a year. And I don't think that's necessarily true. In the Frieza saga, Kami tells King Kai that if you want to bring back everyone whom those two killed, I'm afraid it would be limited to those who died in the past year, which is referencing Vegeta and Nappa's victims. Now, that in itself reveals that Vegeta and Nappa have killed so many people during the course of their lives that Shenron will only be able to bring back the people that the two killed in the past year. So, for example, if you wish for everybody by Frieza to be revived, it wouldn't work, since so many people have been killed by Frieza. But if you wish for one singular group, such as the Saiyans, to be revived, it wouldn't be as vast of a wish as bring back everybody, so I believe it could be done. And using Frieza as an example again, he was dead for around 15-ish years, and then brought back by Earth Shenron, which proves that this can be done. Basically, I had the Saiyans revived since it seemed like it could be possible, and also create an interesting story. Now, if anybody is infuriated with me for Goku being able to bring back the Saiyans, I'm sorry. That's just what we're going to be doing in this story. If you want to see a story about Goku remembering his heritage, and not bringing the Saiyans back to life, check out Kaizen Ball's What If Grandpa Gohan Got Through the Goku video, where I'm sure you'll find more of what you're looking for there. Now, let's get back to the what if. Bardock, his sons, along with Vegeta and Nappa, train together in the gravity ship on their way to find Frieza. Bardock remembers certain coordinates to one of Frieza's major strongholds, and if they show up there, then maybe they can lure Frieza in and be able to take him out. While training, Kakarot asks his father if they really can defeat Frieza, and Bardock just smiles to his son and pats him on the head. He tells him that with all the training that they've done, and with everybody working together, Frieza won't be a match, and the Saiyans will finally be free to do as they please. Kakarot is excited, since he still has his love for fighting strong opponents, and even though this is a very serious threat, he just can't help but feel excited. Eventually, the Saiyans land on Frieza's capital, and are immediately surrounded by Frieza's soldiers, demanding that the intruders reveal themselves. All of the Saiyans rush out and immediately wipe the floor with all the soldiers, and demand to know where Frieza is. After making a large commotion, the group are immediately stopped by the Ginyu Force, who just so happen to be resting on the planet. Vegeta is happy to see them, since he believes that now he can finally show them who the top dog really is. Vegeta gets cocky and tells the others to go find Frieza, as he has a score to settle with the Ginyu Force. Bardock and the others head off, and Vegeta begins his battle with the Ginyu Force. Vegeta instantly takes out Guldo, since he knows how dangerous his abilities are, and he shows off his new speed to Birder, knocking him around and bragging that he is now the fastest in the universe. Birder is infuriated and rushes Vegeta without thinking, and Vegeta sidesteps easily and blasts Birder right into Jace, killing both of them. Recoome unleashes his full power eraser gun, and Vegeta takes it head on and laughs. Is this all that the mighty Ginyu Force has to offer? I'm disappointed. And he appears right behind Recoome, ready to finish him off. But Ginyu catches Vegeta in time, and begins to fight him himself. Vegeta is surprised that Ginyu can keep up with him, and Ginyu outpaces Vegeta and gains the upper hand. Vegeta is angry with himself that he has to resort to this power already, and he transforms into the Wrathful form, and Ginyu is no match. Vegeta in this state is around 800,000, with Ginyu's 120,000 hailing in comparison. After touring with Ginyu, Ginyu tells Vegeta he's sorry for picking a fight with him, and maybe they can work together to go take out Frieza? Vegeta laughs at Ginyu. A mighty captain of the Ginyu Force begging for mercy? That's something I never expected. Change! In the middle of his monologue, Vegeta and Ginyu swap bodies. Ginyu laughs and then knocks away Vegeta, and claims that now the other Saiyans don't stand a chance. Bardock and the others tear their way through more of Frieza's men, trying to find him, until Frieza's ship suddenly looms overhead and more waves of soldiers come flying out. Nappa has gotten tired of fighting and puts up his two fingers, obliterating the city and all of the soldiers around them. The two remaining soldiers, Zarbon and Dodoria, begin to approach, the last obstacle before Frieza, Bardock gets ready to engage, but Raditz tells him to go and find Frieza, as he and Kakarot will stay behind and handle the two. Bardock looks at his sons unsure, as he remembers what Dodoria did to his crew all those years ago. But the Saiyan brothers just smile at their father and tell him that they can handle this. Bardock feels pride in his two boys and goes to depart with Nappa, as Kakarot and Raditz engage Zarbon and Dodoria. Dodoria jokes on how these two little boys are only in the 10,000s range and how their father is an idiot for thinking that these two tykes can handle them. Kakarot and Raditz just smile to each other and transform to their wrathful states and begin to wipe the floor with the two. The Saiyan brothers fight in sync, unleashing combos left and right, and severely cripple Zarbon before he even gets to transform. The two then fly up high into the sky and unleash a sibling double sundae, completely obliterating Zarbon and Dodoria. Meanwhile, Bardock and Nappa make their way to Frieza. The moment Bardock sets his sight on the tyrant, his blood boils. This is the man who forced their people into slavery. This is the man who killed their entire race, just because he read one too many fairy tales. And now, here this man is, just casually watching his own soldiers die, and he's laughing. Frieza! Bardock screams and blasts himself towards Frieza, and lands a heavy blow across Frieza's face, sending him flying. Frieza gets back up, and has no time to counter against Bardock's countless blows. Eventually, Frieza manages to get an opening, and instantly transforms into his second form, and is able to get the upper hand on Bardock. Bardock didn't know Frieza could transform, and is extremely thankful that Kakarot discovered the Wrathful form, otherwise, they wouldn't have had a chance. Wrathful Bardock is able to knock Frieza around with no difficulty, and Frieza knows that this power is too much for him, and he needs to transform right away. So Frieza explodes, and emerges smaller than he was before. Bardock and Nappa laugh at Frieza's size, but in a blink of an eye, Nappa has a death beam right through his chest, and he falls, critically injured. Bardock is shocked and rushes Frieza, and at this stage, Bardock is about equal to Goku during his fight with Frieza in canon, and although he can't die in one blow, Frieza's just toying with him, and enjoying torturing this monkey scum who dared fight against him. As Bardock is knocked around, Kakarot and Raditz enter the ship and aren't happy about their dad being beaten around, and they rush Frieza. Of course, these two in their wrathful states are only around 100,000, and a non-level threat to Frieza. Frieza turns his attention on these two boys, and begins severely beating down on them. Frieza tells Bardock he was a fool for allowing these two weaklings to come here, and it'll be the last mistake he's ever going to make. Kakarot uses his rock paper scissors move, and jabs Frieza's eyes, to get him to let go of them. Frieza yells in pain, and while he's distracted, Raditz rushes over to Bardock and gives him the Senzu Bean. Bardock then jumps to 600,000 in his base form, but before he can stand up, Frieza regains his eyesight and looks over towards Kakarot, and fires a death beam through his heart. Bardock and Raditz stare in horror as the light fades from Kakarot's eyes, and his body collapses, lifeless to the ground. 2 down, 2 to go, Frieza laughs to himself, and turns towards Bardock, and sees a completely different man. Bardock is shaking furiously, and his aura begins to grow golden, and suddenly, his hair turns golden too, and he becomes a Super Saiyan. Everybody is shocked, and Bardock tells Raditz to take Nappa and leave, as he'll deal with Frieza, and he doesn't want Raditz to get in the way. Raditz is terrified over what just happened to his father, and he complies. Bardock rushes Frieza, and the two engage in a huge clash. Except, this form is weaker than Frieza thought it was. You see, Bardock's base form is way weaker than Goku's was in canon, and even with the 50 times multiplier, he's still much weaker than 100% Frieza. And Bardock wouldn't be able to combine the Super Saiyan form with his wrathful state at this point either, as the strain would most likely kill him. As Raditz is escaping with Nappa, Vegeta appears in front of them, and Raditz tells him that his dad may have just transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan, and he is currently wiping the floor with Frieza. Ginyu would obviously be shocked to learn about the Super Saiyan, but realizes that this may be an opportunity to get even stronger, and he tells Raditz that he's going to go and see if he can help out Bardock, while the other two leave. But once Raditz has his back turned, Ginyu fires a blast at Raditz's back, which sends the two of them flying and knocks Raditz unconscious. Ginyu rushes into the ship and sees Bardock beaten badly, Frieza laughing over him. Ginyu tells Frieza that it's him and he managed to steal Vegeta's body, and he asks if he can also take this Saiyan's body as well, so Frieza can have a Super Saiyan working under him. Frieza knows that Ginyu will be loyal to him completely, even in the Super Saiyan form, so he allows it. Bardock curses himself for being far too weak, even in the Super Saiyan state. He only hopes now that Raditz will manage to get back to Earth, and learn the Super Saiyan for himself, and avenge himself and Kakarot. Ginyu switches bodies with Bardock, and immediately, Frieza kills Bardock in Vegeta's body. Frieza, Ginyu, and Raccoon then search the planet for the bodies of Raditz and Nappa, but find nothing. They must be hiding. So, the three get in Frieza's ship, launch themselves up, and Frieza blows up the planet, along with everybody on it. Luckily though, Vegeta woke up earlier and managed to find the bodies of Raditz and Nappa, so he took them and brought them inside the ship and set a course back for Earth. Unfortunately, Nappa had succumbed to his injuries and died, but Vegeta managed to give Raditz a senzu bean and wake him up. Raditz almost attacks Vegeta, but Vegeta tells him that it's still him, but Ginyu managed to steal his body. Raditz then realizes that when he saw Vegeta earlier, that it must have been Ginyu, and that's why he got knocked out. Suddenly, the gravity of the situation hits Raditz. Even in a Super Saiyan state, Bardock still fell to Frieza. He was finally reunited with his father and brother, and they were taken away again so soon. And his two friends, Vegeta and Nappa, are gone as well. Well, Vegeta is technically still here, but he no longer has his body, and it's not exactly the same in Raditz's eyes. Instead of getting angry, Raditz just collapses and sobs uncontrollably, while Vegeta just watches, not knowing exactly what they can do now, in hopes that maybe they can find the answers back on Earth. We begin with Raditz and Vegeta, landing back on Earth. Gine rushes over to greet everybody, only to find Raditz and Ginyu? What happened here? Vegeta tells her it's him, and they badly underestimated Frieza, as these two are the only survivors. Gine can't handle the news that her husband and her son are dead. They were only just reunited. How could this happen? Raditz tries his best to comfort his mother, but he feels her pain and can't help but cry too. Suddenly, a voice speaks into their heads. It's Bardock. Bardock tells them that he and Kakarot were given permission to get new bodies and are able to train in the afterlife. So they're both currently training under King Kai to get even more powerful. In a year, hopefully, they can use the Dragon Balls to be able to revive the two of them. Raditz and Ginyu are ecstatic that Bardock and Kakarot are okay, even though they're dead, and they will get the Dragon Balls all set up for their revival in a year. Three return to the lookout and tell Kami what Bardock told them, and what exactly happened against Frieza. Vegeta says that they should gather the Dragon Balls now to restore him to his original body, and then use them again in a year to bring Bardock and Kakarot back. Kami then states that they would be able to restore Kakarot to life, but not Bardock. Bardock has been brought back to life by the Dragon Balls before, and they can't bring him back again. Raditz curses Kami for setting such a limitation on the Dragon Balls, but Kami says that there's a way he can fix that. All he has to do is train himself up, become more powerful, and the Dragon Balls will be upgraded. So, he asks if he can train with Raditz and Vegeta to allow this. The two would of course say yes, since the Dragon Balls need to be upgraded, but Gine steps in too. She says she's not exactly a fighter, but she feels like she has to help now, to avenge her husband and son. Raditz would be excited to train with his mother, and Kami says he can teach her the basics, while the other two Saiyans go quickly gather the Dragon Balls. Kami and Gine head into the hyperbolic time chamber, while Raditz and Vegeta head over to Capsule Corp to get the radar from Bulma. Bulma is disgusted by Vegeta's new appearance, but he yells at her and says that that's what they're gathering the Dragon Balls for. The two get their radar and go off, and they find some weird army guys that are attempting to take the Dragon Balls for themselves. But one look at Vegeta's scary face is enough to get them to back off. The two easily get the Dragon Balls, with the final two being at the army's base, and I think it's funny that these humans think they can hurt them with simple gunfire. Raditz and Vegeta laugh that they've dealt with way worse than them, and easily destroy the Red Ribbon base and get the Dragon Balls. The two return to the lookout and wish for Vegeta to have his original body back, and I'm pretty sure Shenron could grant this easily, and Vegeta has returned. After training for the rest of the day on the outside, Kami and Gine emerge, with Gine showing significant improvements in strength and technique. Now, Raditz and Vegeta have to make their final time chamber visit, since this is the last time that they can use it, and they need to give it their all so they can access Super Saiyan just like Bardock did. Kami says he's going along with them to get some training done, and even though Gine just left, she says she's going back in too, to see if she can get this Super Saiyan form that Bardock apparently achieved. Bulma sends up extra food in a capsule for everybody so they can eat away to their heart's content, and the group go inside to train. Meanwhile on King Kai's planet, King Kai has taught them his fighting style, and has successfully managed to teach the two to Spirit Bomb, but he decided against the Kaioken, since this Super Saiyan transformation has way more power anyways. Bardock was able to gain access to the form again in no time flat, and he began training in it with Kakarot, to see if Kakarot could get this transformation as well. And as we know, Goku always learns stuff quickly, and being dead and not having to worry about body strain makes Super Saiyan training much easier. And when Bardock tries to awaken it with rage by telling Kakarot he failed by letting his guard down as Frieza, and almost everybody died because of it, this works, and Kakarot screams at him to shut up as he transforms into a Super Saiyan and rushes himself at Bardock. Bardock is easily able to stop Kakarot, but expresses how proud he is and apologizes about what he said. Kakarot and Bardock train together in Super Saiyan and are extremely powerful now, way above what Final Form Frieza was. However, this is exactly what they thought last time, that they were stronger, but they were still far too weak. So Bardock tries to come up with an idea. What if he was able to combine the wrathful form with the Super Saiyan transformation? This could give him the edge in power significantly. He asks King Kai if it could be possible, and King Kai says it very well may be. And now would be the best time to try it, since he's already dead, so what's the worst that could happen? Kakarot sits back to watch as Bardock begins powering up. First into the wrathful form, then Bardock tries to turn Super Saiyan. There's something off about it, however. His hair doesn't turn gold, it stays black, just grows longer. Red hair begins growing around his body and around his eyes. His tail turns red too, and his power is increasing at a rate immeasurable. Then suddenly, the transformation stops, and Bardock collapses back to normal, exhausted. King Kai jokes that, well, apparently it can be done, but Bardock is still too weak to be able to harness his strange new power. If he trained a lot more, then maybe. But when he gets revived, it'll be even harder, since he'll feel way more strain. This is good motivation for Bardock now, since there's only a few months left until they're revived, so he's going to try his hardest and be able to use this form. Back on Earth, Raditz was able to harness all of the anger and sadness he suffered back on Frieza's capital into the fuel he needed to become a Super Saiyan. This is the first time anybody else has seen the form, and Vegeta would of course be extremely ticked off that now 2 low-class Saiyan warriors got access to this transformation before him. Vegeta would train himself harder than ever, and since he can't seem to get it, he explodes in rage at himself for being too weak. And this is just a trigger Vegeta needed to get the form. With 2 Super Saiyans training together now, they're both able to increase their power to being exactly on par with Final Form Frieza. Kami has increased his power training with the 2 Saiyans as well, and he is now around a level of 20,000. With Gine being not too far behind at 15,000. Gine has also learned the wrathful form, and she is able to increase her power to 150,000. Once the group leave the time chamber, they decide to continue training intensely for the next year or so, until the Dragon Balls are restored. In space, Frieza's scouts have tracked down more and more spy Saiyans, and no matter how much they torture them, the Saiyans are giving away where the others are. So Frieza executes them for being a waste of time. There are 2 Saiyans brought to him though, that hold his attention. Paragus and his son, Broly. These 2 were apparently exiled to a far-off world years ago, and hold great resentment towards King Vegeta. Frieza sees this as an opportunity, that if he can send these 2 out to find the Saiyans would take them in, and they could report their whereabouts back to Frieza. So he allows Paragus to make a distress call, asking for help in returning to the Saiyans' base. Surprisingly, a group of Saiyans do show up, since they don't want anybody squealing on their whereabouts just in case. So they pick up Paragus and Broly, and go return them to their new planet. Frieza laughs, as the Saiyans didn't notice them whatsoever, and he goes to follow Paragus to eradicate the Saiyan race, once and for all. Bardock and Kakarot are currently all out training on King Kai's planet, while Bardock attempts to master combining Super Saiyan with the wrathful state. He's getting there, but still can't fully access the form for longer than a few seconds. He knows its power is astronomical, however, and it's more than enough for Frieza, so Bardock has tried his hardest to get it. Kakarot has attempted to follow in his father's footsteps in the form, but his body begins to grow and then revert back to normal. It seems Kakarot's child body, alive or dead, can't handle the power of the transformation, so he just works on perfecting the Super Saiyan form to the best of his ability. One day, King Kai startles the 2 by saying that Frieza has discovered where the remaining Saiyans are hiding and is currently making his way to their planet. Bardock curses himself and says that they need to be brought back to life immediately. King Kai tells the 2 it's not possible, since it'll be just a few more days until the Dragon Balls are active again. Bardock realizes that the Saiyans are going to be completely screwed, so he asks if there's any way to contact them the same way he did the Raditz. King Kai says of course, and he puts Bardock in contact with King Vegeta. King Vegeta is obviously startled to hear Bardock's voice, but Bardock just tells him to listen, as Frieza and his men are currently heading down extremely fast to take out the Saiyans, and they need to get out of there. King Vegeta tells Bardock that he's tired of running and that they should just stand and fight, but Bardock says that that isn't an option, since he managed to achieve the legendary Super Saiyan form, and even that wasn't enough to defeat Frieza. So if the Saiyans stand and fight, they're surely going to die. Learning that the Super Saiyan exists is definitely shocking news for the Saiyan King, and he decides that they might as well escape once again to keep the Saiyan race going, and they'll just have to trust in Bardock and the others. King Vegeta announces to the Saiyans that they must escape this planet as well, as Frieza is currently making his way here. The Saiyans are obviously pretty pissed that they have to leave again, but they all apparently died last time, so they don't want to take any chances with Frieza again. Bardock communicates with Raditz and the others back on Earth, and tells them that Frieza is currently headed to the new planet Vegeta, and that they should try their best to hold off Frieza until the Saiyans escape. Bardock gives them the coordinates, and the group on Earth decide this is for the best, and Kami will stay behind, since if he goes and dies, then they'll lose the Dragon Balls, and it'll be a waste. Raditz, Vegeta, and Guinea head off to intercept Frieza and do their best to save the Saiyans. The trip is only about a day long, and by the time they arrive, only about half the Saiyans have made it off the planet. Unfortunately, at the same time, Frieza arrives with his men and begin to destroy the new Vegeta. Vegeta meets up with his father, and the two work together to fight off the soldiers so people can escape. King Vegeta is proud of his son since he's become so much more powerful than he ever could have imagined. Vegeta tells him that he's going to be useless here, so he should escape too, and he flies off to go get his revenge on Ginyu. Ginyu is surprised to see that Vegeta got his body back and wonders how this could have happened. Vegeta isn't exactly in the mood to toy with Ginyu since the last time that happened, he lost his body, so Vegeta immediately transforms into a Super Saiyan. Ginyu laughs and tells him that that form isn't so special anymore, and he transforms as well. Over the course of the year, he managed to train as well and gain access to the Super Saiyan form again. The two clash, and their battle blows up half the capital. Raccoon is easily dealt with by Guinea, and she is insanely proud of herself for actually being able to fight. Raditz tells her not to let it go to her head, as the real fight hasn't even begun yet. Frieza lands with Paragus and Broly, and he laughs, asking why these Saiyans choose to keep fighting, as it's just going to end the same way it always does against him. Raditz is fuming on seeing the Emperor, seeing his brother die before his eyes all over again, and he transforms into a Super Saiyan and rushes Frieza. But to his surprise, Broly steps in the way and stops him. Raditz is shocked in how he is able to hold him back, but Broly lets out a primal scream and pushes Raditz back into to engage. Guinea knows she's not a match for Frieza, so she just quickly escapes and goes off to fight more of the soldiers. Bardock and Kakarot ask if the Dragon Balls are active yet, and Kami says they'll be active in a few more hours, but Bardock yells at the god since they don't have a few hours, as the others are going to be killed. Kami knows he's right, and decides to try something risky, begins to power up, giving up some of his life force to get the Dragon Balls to become active earlier. And this actually works, and the Dragon Balls become active. Kami is extremely weakened for this, however, so Mr. Popo is the one to make the wishes. Since Kami trained himself so much, the Dragon Balls can now grant 2 wishes. So with the first wish, the Saiyans were killed by Frieza a year ago, should be brought back to life. And with the second, Mr. Popo asks for Bardock and Kakarot to be sent to New Vegeta. Shenron grants the wishes, and before they know it, Bardock and Kakarot instantly teleport to New Vegeta. They can sense the battles going on, so Bardock wishes his son luck, and the two part ways to help. Vegeta and Ginyu are equally matched, and both are badly bruised and beaten. Bardock then shows up and quickly blows Ginyu out of existence, sickened on how his body was taken and used for somebody else's personal gain, so it felt good to finish him off. He tries to help Vegeta back to his feet, but Vegeta just smacks his hand away, and he takes a Senzu Bean, regaining full health and gaining a Zenkai in the process. Kakarot arrived to help Raditz against Broly, and the reunion is a nice one for the Saiyan brothers, as they are happy to fight together again. Broly is still far too weak for Kakarot, and with the two Saiyans working together, Broly is no match. Frieza notices Broly being knocked around and asks Paragus if this is the extent of his power, and Paragus says that he believes it is. Frieza tells him that's unfortunate, and he executes the Colonel right there and then. Frieza then yells out to Broly that his father is killed by a stray energy blast, and similar to the Broly movie, he explodes in rage and becomes a Super Saiyan. Broly begins to go off on a rampage now, and even Kakarot can't keep up. Kakarot knows that at this rate, not even Bardock will be a match for Broly, so he decides to use the Spirit Bomb to fight him off. Raditz tries his best to distract Broly, but he ends up getting severely battered, and this is where Bardock and Vegeta make their entrance to hold the beast back. Bardock is able to fight with the legendary Saiyan, but his power is increasing so fast it doesn't seem to matter. As Bardock is contemplating transforming into the wrathful Super Saiyan form, Kakarot tells him all to move out of the way, and he throws down a Spirit Bomb at Broly. Broly tries to hold back the attack, and surprisingly, he is able to even push it back. Kakarot unleashes all of his power, and even this is barely enough. Bardock joins in with his son, and the duo manage to push it into Broly more, and try to target his anger to extinguish with the Spirit Bomb, as Broly is apparently pure of heart, and the Spirit Bomb won't do much against him. Bardock then powers up into the wrathful Super Saiyan state for a split second, and this energy pressure is enough to get Broly to crumble, and the Spirit Bomb consumes him. The anger in Broly is extinguished, and he reverts back to base, unconscious. The two then fall back to the ground with Kakarot exhausted, and Bardock tired from using the wrathful Super Saiyan state so early. Frieza is impressed with the Saiyan's power, but says this is where they all die, and he goes 100%, throwing himself at the two. Bardock and Vegeta are the only two who can stand and go up against Frieza. Even as 100%, Frieza is no match for two Super Saiyans fighting at once, and he is smacked around pretty brutally. Frieza's enraged in how these Saiyans have gotten so much more powerful, and he goes on a tantrum, ready to destroy this planet and everything on it. Bardock senses this, and as Frieza launches the Death Ball, he rushes under it, doing his best to hold the attack back. Frieza put all of his power into this attack, however, and it's not going to be easy to hold back. It's not an issue for Bardock, however, as he forces himself to go into the true Saiyan evolution state, the wrathful Super Saiyan form, and he throws the attack back at Frieza, and is consumed by his own attack. The Death Ball pushes Frieza out into space, and Bardock sends out a Ki Blast towards the ball, detonating it and completely erasing Frieza from existence. The reign of the Dictator, finally, thwarted. Bardock explodes in pain and collapses back to normal. Kakarot, Raditz, and Guinea all rush over to him and give him a big hug, all of them crying that now they're finally free after all this time. Finally. Once the group all eats some senzu, Bardock talks with King Vegeta and says that this planet is pretty trash, so maybe he can contact the rest of the Saiyans and have them find a new planet to stay on. Earth. King Vegeta has heard that this planet was a nice place for these guys, so maybe it won't be that bad. King Vegeta contacts all of the Saiyans who escape and tells them to set their new destination to Earth. All of the Saiyans make their way to the planet, and King Vegeta meets with King Fury to announce their arrival. And the king is happy to let these people stay on the planet, just as long as they promise not to go on a killing spree on the Earth's populace. The Saiyans establish a new colony, building a kingdom for themselves. And since they're all still so battle-hungry, most of them become mercenaries or police officers, fighting to either establish peace, or just because they get paid for it. They're still not great people, so they wouldn't really be good police officers, but hey, I'm sure they're still getting rolled. Worse people have. As for Bardock's family, they build their own house next to Grandpa Gohan, and live out there, training and farming. Vegeta would take up his duties as prince, but would occasionally go to visit his Earthling girlfriend, Bulma. Things for the Saiyans would go really well, and peace would reign on Earth for quite a few years. That is until King Piccolo was unleashed on the world. The Demon King tries to begin his reign of terror, but doesn't get very far as he is stopped by some Saiyan police officers. They take a liking to the king, however, and ask if he wants to join up with them, as he'll just be killed otherwise. Piccolo isn't exactly happy that there are so many other beings stronger than himself, but he joins with them anyways, as he kinda wants to survive. Piccolo is taken in by the Saiyans, and they're surprised to see a Namekian on the planet. Piccolo is curious, since he believes he is a great demon king, and not a Namekian. But the Saiyans say that they've seen their fair share of Namekians, so they know that he is definitely one of them. This gives Piccolo a sort of identity crisis, where he questions his ways, and wonders if all Namekians are like him. A couple of his Saiyan cop friends tell him that they could all go to Namek and see if he could find his true purpose there, and of course Piccolo would enjoy this greatly. Maybe he could rule over that planet, you never know. So, the Demon King and his Saiyan comrades get on a ship and depart to Namek, to see if Piccolo can discover his true purpose there. Of course, as the Demon King leaves the Earth, another demon is making his way to the planet. But not just one, two Frost demons. King Cold and the rebuilt Frieza are approaching the planet, this time sure to get their revenge. We begin with Bardock's family training at Grandpa Gohan's place. The family has gotten used to being together again, and a wilderness life suits them. Guinea still commutes over to Capsule Corp for her chef job, but since she can fly, it takes her only about 5 minutes to get there. Gohan has shown the Saiyans jobs that they might like, since the other Saiyans have gone off to get assassins' jobs or become corrupt police officers. Bardock isn't really interested in fighting off weak people anymore, as that was his job under Frieza, but Raditz is extremely interested in the art of boxing, and he decides to become a boxer and win tons of more money for the family. He has to hide the fact he's a Saiyan, however, since that would seem unfair to the rest of the boxers. Bardock and Kakarot mostly hang at the house, training and doing random part-time jobs for money. The Earthlings have adapted to the Saiyans living among them now, and though they are strong and not very nice to hang around with sometimes, they don't really see that much of a change. Besides, stronger people with tails. Of course, there is currently another alien figure arriving on this planet, and Bardock and his family can sense it. Bardock's heart drops. How is this possible? He thought he killed Frieza. Did he not put enough power into his attack? And even worse, he's brought his father King Cold with him. Most of the Saiyans can't sense Ki, but luckily their Prince Vegeta can, and he warns him of the Emperor's return. The Saiyans quickly gather up their forces, but Vegeta tells them to stand down for now. They should get ready just in case something happens, but for the most part, they're just going to get in the way. There is one Saiyan here that would be helpful, however. Vegeta goes down into the prison chambers and makes sure to remain in a calm mood when greeting the Saiyan. Vegeta greets Broly and tells him that they're going to need his help if he wants revenge on Frieza. Hearing Frieza's name makes Broly's blood boil, but before his energy can rise even more, the electric shock collar shocks him and he powers down. Vegeta takes Broly out of the cell, and they go off to find Frieza. Bardock, Kakarot, Raditz, Guinea, Nappa, Vegeta, and Broly arrive at the battlefield to confront Mecha Frieza and King Cold. Bardock asks Frieza why he thinks it was a good idea for him to come to Earth, since they completely wasted him last time, and they're all even stronger than before. Frieza says he realized that, the first time the Saiyans arrived at his capital, he completely wasted them with little difficulty on his end. But 1 year later, they happened to return, and somehow increased their powers tremendously, all with just 1 year of training. So, he decided to bite the bullet and train himself, since it seemed so effective for the Saiyans. Mecha Frieza powers up, unleashing a gigantic wave of energy. He's leagues ahead of where he was a couple of months ago. What kind of training did he do? All the Saiyans power up into their Super Saiyan forms and rush the mechanized Emperor. But somehow, Frieza is able to take them all on at once with little difficulty. Bardock is extremely concerned now, as Frieza is too strong for any of them. He transforms into his wrathful Super Saiyan form and begins to battle Frieza himself. Frieza notices this great buff in power, but he's still able to keep up very well. No matter what Bardock does, Frieza has a counter for it and deals back with heavier and heavier blows. Bardock is losing ground fast, and the others decide to help him out. Vegeta and Raditz begin powering up as well, and transform into their wrathful Super Saiyan forms, and join in to fight against Frieza. Frieza wasn't expecting more of the monkeys getting that form, and even with all the power he's gotten, there's no way he can take 3 full power wrathful Super Saiyans all at once. Frieza falls back and tells the Saiyans he was hoping he wouldn't have to use his power, but they've left him no choice, and they absolutely have no chance of winning now. Frieza powers up, and his ki erupts into golden aura, blinding everybody. When the light fades, all that's left is Frieza, covered in gold. Frieza laughs at the shock in everyone's face, as he has become Golden Mecha Frieza. The Saiyans still refuse to give up, and rush in towards a new challenge, and now, they stand no chance at all. Frieza gut punches Raditz, and he collapses to the ground, reverting back to normal. It took Vegeta longer to go down, but he too was put in his place by the Emperor. Bardock is the last man standing, but only because Frieza has a specific score to settle with him, and he's basically torturing Bardock. Kakarot knows that this isn't going to end well, so he decides to bite the bullet and take the restraints off of Broly, and reminding him of what Frieza did to his father. Broly instantly explodes into his Super Saiyan form and rushes towards Frieza. Frieza is caught off guard by Broly and begins to get pummeled. Broly's strength increases rapidly, allowing him to catch up to Frieza's level in no time. Except, Frieza has a better handle on his golden form now that he has his mechanized body. He had to do even harder training to maintain the power of his golden form without destroying his cybernetic upgrade, so he is pretty similar to true Golden Frieza from Super, just much weaker. Again, he wasn't able to maintain the full power of Golden because his mecha form was slowing him down in terms of progress. This Golden Frieza is still insanely powerful, but nowhere near the level of the actual Golden Frieza in canon. That's why Broly is able to catch up so fast. While Broly is holding off Frieza, Gine goes around giving the other Saiyan Senzu beans, waking them up, and giving them a Zenkai. Of course, even with this Zenkai, it's not enough to take Frieza down. Bardock tells the others that they're not going to win this fight by themselves, and they're going to need a whole lot of energy to completely destroy Frieza. Bardock looks over to Kakarot and tells him that he thinks it's time for him to unleash another Spirit Bomb. Kakarot is a little nervous, however, saying he doesn't know if it'll work. When he used his Spirit Bomb on Broly before, he didn't have the strength he needed to push it into Broly, and he was almost killed. Bardock tells him not to worry about that, as they're going to give him the strength he needs. Just like in GT, the Saiyans all gather around Kakarot and pour their energy into him, attempting to boost his strength enough to make him able to push the Spirit Bomb into Frieza. Except, this energy works a little too well. We have Bardock, Gine, Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz giving Kakarot their energies. And if my memory serves me right, that's the same number of Saiyans used for the God ritual. That's right. Without even meaning to, Kakarot has become the Super Saiyan God. The others stare in awe at what just occurred. Why did his hair turn red? Why can't they sense his ki anymore? What just happened? Kakarot has no idea himself, although he feels way different and much more powerful. King Cold notices this transformation to Saiyan achieved, and doesn't want Frieza going up against a new Saiyan form, so he goes over to battle Kakarot in his final form. Bardock notices Cold approaching, and powers up into a wrathful Super Saiyan to hold him back. But Kakarot tells him there's no need for him to. He can handle this himself. Bardock asks his son if he's sure, as they have no idea what this new power of his even is. Kakarot smiles at his father, and tells him that he's sure he can win. He's not going to let him down again. Kakarot rushes in to fight against Cold, and let's just say, Cold isn't a match whatsoever. Kakarot moves much faster than him, and he's able to zip around and deal extreme levels of damage with only a couple of blows. As quickly as the battle began, it ends with Cold's body crippled on the ground. Kakarot looks at himself and smiles. This new power, it's amazing. You could defeat Frieza with this if he tried. Kakarot tells the others they can finish off Cold. He's going to go help Broly against Frieza. Kakarot enters the battle alongside Broly and starts going at it with Frieza. Frieza is shocked to see the Saiyan child coming in and dealing stronger blows than the others. Plus, seeing Frieza be put in his place actually kinda snaps Broly out of it. Kakarot and Frieza are having a gigantic clash, with heavy blows being dealt by both of them. But luckily for Kakarot, his smaller size is actually a good thing, since he can avoid Frieza's attacks easier and hit in more painful places without leaving himself wide open. Kakarot is also going about this fight with a strategy, mostly aiming for Frieza's robotic parts, which aren't as durable as his actual body. With his mechanized arm and legs malfunctioning now, Frieza can barely move, and he reverts back to normal. Right when Kakarot is about to finish Frieza off, he reverts back into his Super Saiyan form, shocking everyone. Frieza smirks and uses this as an opportunity to blast the Saiyan out of existence. Frieza fires a beam at the Saiyan, but Kakarot easily deflects it. Frieza wonders how that can be possible. Even in his regular Super Saiyan form, this child shouldn't be that strong. Kakarot, however, isn't in his regular Super Saiyan form. Just like in the Battle of Gods movie, he managed to absorb the God Ki, and can now use its power without the form itself. Frieza apologizes to Kakarot and begs for mercy, saying he can change and he'll leave the planet. Kakarot is obviously disgusted by Frieza, and tells him that he doesn't deserve mercy for all the pain he's caused on the Saiyans and every other race in existence. He isn't going to accept his apology, and fires a full power spirit cannon at Frieza, and this time, he's successfully obliterated. Real quick, I'm sure a bunch of you are saying that Goku wouldn't kill Frieza because he doesn't kill his enemies. Well, he actually does in dire circumstances. He killed King Piccolo and killed Frieza on 2 separate occasions, and Kid Buu. Kakarot knew that Frieza hadn't changed, and that he'll never change. He's caused too much havoc on his life, and he isn't going to let that monster live any longer. So he did the only thing he thought was right, end his life. Bardock and the others congratulate Kakarot on defeating the Frost Demons, and since both of them are dead, they don't have anybody they have to worry about anymore. Broly has flown off during the battle, but the group don't worry about him for now, and they'll find him later. Vegeta is interested in that form that Kakarot just used, and he wants to form for himself. Once everybody is all healed, the Saiyans try the ritual out again, and manage to have everybody get the power of Super Saiyan God. The Saiyans all begin training in this form to make sure that they are prepared for any new threat that could threaten their lives. Meanwhile, Piccolo and his 2 Saiyan comrades have finally arrived on Namek.
King Piccolo and his 2 Saiyan comrades have finally arrived on planet Namek to discover Piccolo's origins. I also realized I didn't have a name for Piccolo's 2 comrades, so I decided I may as well go back to What If Broly Was Never Exiled, Part 2, and take some comments from there to see what good names would be. After looking through some again, I decided to land on Western Draco's names of Kyukuba and Urbit for these 2 Saiyans. So, thanks a lot, man. I know it's not the Saiyans he was suggesting the names for, but thanks anyway for the suggestion. Piccolo, Kyukuba, and Urbit look around the planet using their scouters to detect any signs of life. Piccolo looks over his home, feeling that this is where he was born, but he feels very little sentiment. He's getting certain memory flashes of his people, and is sickened by how nice he remembers them being. He's supposed to be the great demon king, but no, he's just a lowly weak Namekian. He's going to have to show these people to embrace their demonic side, and take their rightful place as rulers of the universe. Kyukuba and Urbit are actually down to this plan, as they were getting pretty tired of being all goody-goody on Earth. So they go along with Piccolo's ideals. The group make their way to their first Namekian village, where Elder Mori and the others reside. Mori is interested in meeting a new Namekian, and wonders how he's never met him before. Piccolo tells Mori that he was sent to Earth after a large cataclysm years ago, and now he's returned to teach his people the correct way to go about life. Mori doesn't quite understand what Piccolo is trying to say, but Piccolo explains that the world deserves to be ruled by hatred and terror. After his time on Earth, he realized how pathetic and weak the good were, and how they deserved to be exterminated. They were weak, and the stronger of them were weak-minded, and their ideals were nothing compared to what he has in mind. All he wants are his Namekian brethren to join him in ruling over this universe with an iron fist, and watch millions of people's faces twist in terror just by the sheer mention of his name. Mori and the other Namekians are dumbfounded by Piccolo's speech and disgusted at the same time by how one of their own can even think of such evil deeds. The warrior Namekians step up and tell Piccolo that they don't want any part in his evil deed, and he's not a true Namekian, he can sense that now. He's a pure evil being, which is something they haven't seen in the Namekian race in generations, and the warriors are not going to allow the Demon King to achieve his goals of world domination. Piccolo and the Saiyans aren't going to allow these warriors to stand in his way, and they engage in battle. Now, as we saw in canon, these warrior Namekians had a power level of around 3,000. Piccolo in canon was around a 300-ish power level by himself, which doesn't even stack up anywhere near these guys. Except Kyukuba and Urbit are Saiyan elites, who range around 10,000 in terms of power. Since these two took Piccolo under his wing, Piccolo trained with them, and got a pretty huge buff in power. After training for many months with these two, his power increased to around 5,000. Still not on the level of the Saiyans, but very impressive for him, as he is still very old, and can still keep up. The Namekian warriors are easily defeated, and Piccolo tells Kyukuba and Urbit to not kill them. He is able to sense that these warriors aren't working independently. they're actually fusions. Kikuba is confused and asks what Piccolo is talking about, and Piccolo explains that fusion is a move that Namekians can use to increase power. The only reason he knows that is because fusion was something Kami wanted to do to rejoin and ruin his reign of evil, so apparently it's something all Namekians can do to increase battle power. Piccolo puts his hand on the unconscious Namekians and screams out, beginning the fusion process. After a blinding flash of light, the warrior Namekians are gone, and Piccolo stands there laughing in triumph. Not only did his strength increase, but his looks as well. He has regained his youth after fusing with the Namekians, and is now stronger than Kikuba and Urbit. Unfortunately, since the fusion wasn't consensual, Piccolo's power didn't increase as much as it should have, but it's now at a whopping 11,000. The Saiyans are extremely impressed with this new power, and if Piccolo can increase his power so much like this, then they'll have no problems whatsoever in overtaking the planet and the universe. Piccolo tells the two to go out to other Namekian villages and gather all the Namekians here, so he can fuse with them to get even stronger. To speed up the process too, Piccolo creates tambourine, drum, and cymbal to go out and do the same. The Saiyans and the demons track down the other villages, defeat their Namekians, and bring them back to King Piccolo, allowing him to fuse with them and gain even greater boosts in power. Grand Elder Guru senses the death and destruction of Namek, and sends in Nail to go stop this threat before it's too late for the Namekian people. Nail flies off and arrives at Tambourine's location, killing him easily and telling the survivors to flee to the Grand Elder's location, as that's the only place that they'll be safe. Nail continues going out and killing the children of Piccolo, which eventually leads Piccolo to him. And Piccolo is insanely impressed on seeing how strong Nail is. Nail is infuriated by looking at Piccolo. He's absorbed so many of his people, and will continue to do so unless he does something. Nail rushes in to battle Piccolo, but is taken down by one punch from him. Piccolo at this point has fused with half of the Namekian people, which has increased his power to well beyond that of even final form Frieza. Yeah, Namekian fusion isn't something to mess around with. It can increase powers thousands-fold, as we saw in the Tournament of Power. All of Universe 6 Nameks fused into 2 Namekians, and these two were able to compete with Gohan and Piccolo. So I'm 100% sure Demon King Piccolo here would defeat Nail with little to no difficulty. Fusing with Nail grants Piccolo a gigantic increase in power as well, and gives him more knowledge on the Grand Elder. Piccolo fuses with all of the remaining Namekians, and is finally face to face with Guru. Piccolo knows that if he forces the Elder to fuse, then the Dragon Balls of this planet will become inert, so he tells Guru that he's going to be left alive here by himself, only to keep the Dragon Balls activated. Kikuba and Urbit don't even recognize Piccolo anymore, as their power pales in comparison to his. With all the Namekians inside of Piccolo now, and all these new fighting styles and techniques, his power is now on par with Golden Mecha Frieza, and even exceeds him in power. Yeah, Namekian fusion doesn't mess around. Urbit asks Piccolo if they're going to return to Earth now, and Piccolo tells him that of course, as there is one Namekian left there, his other half. Once he fuses with his other half, his power will increase even more, and nobody in the universe will be able to stop him. Piccolo summons Purunga, and with his first wish, he revives his demon children who were killed by Nail, and with his second wish, he wishes for all of their potential to be unlocked, as they learned that was a move that Grand Elder had. Once everybody present has had their power increased even more, Piccolo uses the final wish to transport all of them back to Earth. Piccolo arrives at the Saiyan castle, and immediately executes King Vegeta, telling the Saiyans that he is now their new ruler, and if anybody objects, he'll be more than happy to send them to the afterlife as well. Vegeta senses his father being killed, and he goes off to see a monstrous Namekian standing in the place of his father. Vegeta can sense that his power is gigantic. What exactly happened to make a Namekian this strong? Vegeta decides to transform into his new Super Saiyan God form to battle Piccolo and regain the throne. Piccolo is impressed to see a Saiyan this powerful and is up for the challenge. Piccolo and Vegeta begin their fight, with Piccolo surprisingly having the edge in technique. Piccolo fights brutally, and he doesn't have the honor of fighting by himself, as he has his minions come in and fight Vegeta too, once he loses his footing. Vegeta is trying his hardest to slow Piccolo down with his Final Flash and Gallic Guns, but Piccolo has perfect regeneration, and once he is dealt damage by Vegeta, he just instantly regenerates and fights back more and more savagely. Vegeta is beginning to lose ground extremely quickly, and even reverts back to base form on death's door. Before Piccolo is able to finish the job, however, Nappa arrives, kicking the Demon King away in his own god form. With Piccolo knocked away, Nappa lifts his fingers up in the air and completely obliterates the Saiyan castle, killing the demons and Kikuba and Urbit. With his allies gone, Nappa believes he can handle the Demon King himself. Piccolo is extremely angry for his recently revived demons to be killed right away, and he takes out his anger on Nappa. Nappa is weaker than Vegeta in his own god form, but without demons helping out Piccolo, Nappa surprisingly gets the advantage. Piccolo and Nappa battle it out, with it seeming like neither one is tiring out. Nappa's brutal wrestler style is getting Piccolo in the back foot as multiple heavy shots are being dealt, and Piccolo can't regenerate all of these shots. Piccolo erupts in rage, as even with all of his power he got from Namek, he can't defeat a single Saiyan. All he needs now is his other half, and he will never be defeated. Piccolo launches a blast towards the ground, blowing up smoke everywhere, and he escapes Nappa's point of view, suppresses his ki, and rushes towards Kami's lookout. Nappa has no idea that Piccolo would be heading to Kami, so he just reverts back to base and goes to help out Vegeta. Kami can sense that Piccolo is rushing up towards him, so he quickly notifies Bardock and the others, and rushes into the hyperbolic time chamber, trying to hide himself from Piccolo. Piccolo arrives on the lookout, and searches everywhere for Kami, and finds nothing. He destroys huge chunks of the lookout, screaming for Kami to come on out. Bardock arrives at the lookout, and goes in for a punch on the Demon King. Piccolo blocks the punch easily, and sends Bardock flying back towards what remains of the lookout. Piccolo launches a Hell's Flash at Bardock, attempting to finish him off right away, but God Goku comes in and knocks it away. Raditz goes up to his father and helps him back on his feet, while Kakarot begins his battle with the Demon King. Kakarot is surprised on how powerful he really is. He's even more powerful than Golden Mecha Frieza. How did that happen? Piccolo's mental state isn't all there right now anyway, since he's extremely hell-bent on finding Kami, so he's fighting very savagely. This ultimately is what's getting him beaten. Kakarot can easily dodge Piccolo's attacks and counter just as easily, since Piccolo is going off of rage and has no thought in where his strikes are going. Kakarot completely wipes the floor with Piccolo and leaves him crippled on the ground, not having enough energy left to even regenerate himself. Kakarot feels pity for the Demon King, as he actually is really powerful, but he lacks training. Maybe if he went out and trained to get stronger, he could fight him again. Piccolo curses his Saiyan, and he spits out one last egg and sends it towards the ground, telling Kakarot that his child will take his place and completely rule over this universe. Raditz teleports in front of Kakarot and unleashes a full-power double Sunday, completely wiping Piccolo off the face of the earth. Raditz then turns around and smacks Kakarot in the head, telling him not to pull a stupid move like that again, as who knows what he could have done if he was spared. Kakarot apologizes and tells Raditz he's right, and the two go to get Kami from the time chamber and help out in fixing the lookout. On the ground, Piccolo Jr. is born, and swears revenge on the Saiyan, known as Kakarot. Shortly after the death of King Piccolo, Kami emerges from the hyperbolic time chamber, and discusses with the Saiyans what happened. Bardock explains that the demon Namekian was killed by Raditz, but before he died, he spit out an egg, meaning he had a child. They should probably go kill that child, that way he doesn't turn into a threat. Kami tells him that's not a good idea, since he's connected with Piccolo, and if one dies, then the other will as well. And if Kami dies, then the Dragon Balls will be no more, and who knows when they're going to need them again. Bardock asks what they should do then, as they can't just let the kid run around wrecking havoc. Kami senses for the child, and while he can sense some evil intent, it's mostly all pure. He can sense multiple unique powers inside of the young Piccolo, and a lot of good, way more than evil. Why is that? Kami goes down and collects the young Piccolo, and begins to talk with him. Piccolo still has anger towards Kakarot for killing his father, but that anger is justified. He only wants to kill Kakarot, not anybody else. He has too much good in him due to all of the Namekians that the Demon King absorbed. It seems good overwhelmed evil once the new Piccolo was born, so he's not going to be evil anymore. All he needs is just some good influences and a proof to the Namekian that his father definitely deserved what he got. Piccolo is still a little angry at Kakarot, but once he gets to know him, and once he finds out how bad his father really was, he'll come around. Piccolo stays on the lookout and trains with Kami and the others. Kakarot is also excited to train with the new Piccolo, as he has immense power, even greater than his father's. This just gets Kakarot riled up, and he mainly sticks to the lookout to help Kami train Piccolo. Back on Earth, the Saiyans rebuild their castle after it was destroyed by Piccolo. King Vegeta is still dead, and since he was revived by the Dragon Balls once already, he's not able to come back. The Saiyans need a new ruler, and it's only natural that the next step to be king is Vegeta. Vegeta undergoes his coronation and becomes the new king of all Saiyans. The new King Vegeta is obviously happy that he's finally able to become king, but doesn't feel that he deserves the title. He wasn't able to kill the Namekian that killed his father, and he wasn't able to kill Frieza either, who enslaved the Saiyans himself. To be the true King Vegeta, he has to be able to protect his race from threats like this again. And he needs to protect his newborn son, Trunks. Yep, Trunks has been born much earlier due to Bulma and Vegeta getting together way earlier. With Vegeta being the new king, Bulma is now the queen of all Saiyans, with Trunks being the new prince. Bulma is of course happy with being a queen, and with their marriage, Capsule Corp has basically merged with the Saiyan Empire. Meaning the Saiyans have access to the Capsule Corp tech, such as improved scouters and access to the gravity chambers, making all of the Saiyans much more powerful with all the training that they've been doing in the chamber.
Vegeta trains in a gravity chamber constantly since he wants his power increased greatly to defend his family and his race. He remembers Bardock's idea of combining the wrathful form with the Super Saiyan transformation, which gave them access to the wrathful Super Saiyan form. Maybe he can attempt to do the same thing with the wrathful Super Saiyan form and the Super Saiyan God form. If he's able to combine both of these forms, then he'll gain extreme boosts in power and become the strongest living Saiyan. Everybody continues going about their training and their lives, and we move forward in time by 5 years. On the lookout, Piccolo has grown up and has gotten much stronger through training with Kami and Kakarot. Kakarot's also managed to unlock the Super Saiyan Blue transformation in this time, as he already knew the Super Saiyan form. So he tried to combine it with his God form, and surprisingly, it worked, which created the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan transformation. With this new power unlocked, Piccolo was able to get even better training himself, boosting his power tremendously as well. Now, even though Kakarot is Super Saiyan Blue now, he's not anywhere near the level of the canon Super Saiyan Blue Goku. This is decades before he got the form in canon, so he'd obviously be much weaker. I'd say to compare, Kakarot in Blue at this point is on the level of power that Fat Buu was. This is still extremely powerful, especially at this point in the story, but still not as strong as his Blue canon self. Piccolo would most likely be on par with Kakarot, and maybe a little stronger too. Kami has of course gotten much stronger, but his old age slowed him down from competing with the two. Luckily though, Kami gathered up the Dragon Balls and used them just to wish for youth. That way he could actually get stronger himself and not to slow Kakarot and Piccolo down. In between visits down on the surface, Chi-Chi caught up with Kakarot and took him up on the marriage proposal, so the two of them still get married and have Gohan. Gohan would have enormous potential now, since he was born with having godly ki, which puts him in a league above everybody else if he trained himself hard enough. Now you're probably wondering why I decided to move forward 5 years and not 11, which is when the Android saga would take place. Well, that's because the androids are going to be coming much earlier than normal. Remember back in part 3, Vegeta and Raditz destroyed the Red Ribbon HQ, so Jiro would want revenge on those two. The reason why he's shown up so early is because the technology of the Saiyans and the supplies he's gotten from Capsule Corp have drastically increased the android production, and he's managed to transform himself into a much more powerful android. Him along with 19 have grown extremely powerful after collecting newer technologies from the Saiyans, and he's monitored their new transformations, so he's now got some form of God Ki inside of himself as well. The two androids first head off to Bardock's home to get revenge on Raditz, and while these androids are extremely powerful, they're no match for two Super Saiyan Blues. Yep, Raditz and Bardock managed to access the blue form in this time as well. Sure, Jiro and 19 are on God level, and can use energy absorption technologies, but this is no match for the Saiyans, as they're just leagues ahead of the androids now. And even with the energy absorption, they stand no chance. Even if they manage to get their energy absorbed, Kakarot, Piccolo, and Kami could come down and easily work together to take them out. The androids would then be taken out right there, with basically no difficulty. Sorry Jiro, your average technology isn't going to be effective against alien gods now. The threat of the androids is stopped with literally no troubles, and life continues on. 17, 18, and 16 are still locked up in Jiro's lab, and Cell isn't going to be coming anytime soon, since there isn't a time machine to come back in, so no threat of Cell. Bardock would probably let Vegeta know about the androids, and Bulma would recognize one of them as Jiro, and she would send some Saiyan troops to go raid his lab and destroy everything, which they would do, and there are no more androids around. This means that there won't be a future Trunks to come back, since there isn't a threat that forces time travel to become a thing, meaning there's only going to be one timeline here. With the androids out of the way, now there's time for more training, and another big time jump. And during this time too, Kakarot might still develop the heart virus, but I don't think that would be too big of a problem here. Mainly because since Kakarot's been training so much with Kami and Piccolo, and started showing symptoms, maybe they could just use the Dragon Balls to wish away the heart virus. Which is something I don't know why they didn't do in the future timeline, but you know, whatever. There are now many years of peace on Earth, and many Saiyans have mated with humans, and there are even more Saiyan hybrid children being born, making extremely powerful warriors, who train constantly to get even stronger. Prince Trunks has many friends and partners to train with, increasing his battle power greatly. Over the years, he has trained with his father and gained access to the Super Saiyan form. But even a form beyond that, Super Saiyan 2, which nobody knew existed, and Trunks is pretty proud of himself for learning that before anybody else. Gohan trains with his father and grandparents on occasion, and has gained access to the Super Saiyan God form through training with them. Though he really doesn't go out of his way to fight, as he doesn't see a need to. He's been doing a great job at becoming a scholar though, which is something he really has been wanting to do in his life. This very long time of peace would be interrupted by the Supreme Kai entering the scene and warning everybody about Majin Buu. Shin visits King Vegeta, asking him if he can send in his armies to help fight off Babidi and Dabura, and Vegeta, being the good king that he is, of course decides to help the Supreme Kai,
and join him personally to prevent Buu's awakening. Vegeta, Shin, and Kibito go down to Babidi's ship, with Spopovich and Yamu still going back and delivering the energy they collected. Dabura comes up to kill Kibito, but Vegeta steps in the way and blocks his attack. Vegeta becomes a Super Saiyan and fires a Big Bang attack to wipe out Dabura with no difficulty. Vegeta then makes his way into the ship to take out Babidi, but is suddenly attacked by Yakan and Pui, trying to slow Vegeta down. Shin and Kibito step in this time and easily wipe the two out, thanking Vegeta for saving them from Dabura, and now they're returning the favor. Vegeta thanks them too, and quickly makes his way to Babidi. Babidi rushed down to Buu's shell and inserted the energy in there in an attempt to awaken Buu, and surprisingly, it fills up all the way. Spopovich and Yamu managed to go and tap hundreds of people, and luckily for them, they were mostly Saiyan hybrids who had enormous energies. And since there were hundreds of them, the energy was enough to successfully awaken Majin Buu. Buu comes out of his shell and encounters Vegeta. Vegeta is confused on why Shin was so scared, as this chubby pink blob is nothing compared to him. Buu powers up, angry at the name-calling, and rushes Vegeta. Vegeta clashes with Buu, and unsurprisingly, Buu is getting thrown around by Vegeta, which is a great difference to what originally happened in canon. Plus, Vegeta is only in his Super Saiyan form right now, and still giving Buu so much trouble. His constant mockery of Demajin isn't really helping Buu's case either. Buu begins to explode in rage, and it eventually becomes so great that he splits in two, an evil and good Buu. The evil Buu looks around, smiling at the king, and then goes off to fight his good half. Vegeta just stares in confusion. Why are these two fighting each other? Vegeta appears in front of the two, stopping them from their battle, and throws them both to the ground. They are both weaker than the Buu he was originally fighting, so this takes no effort at all to keep them from each other. Vegeta asks Shin what he should do now. As there are now two Buus, should he just take out both of them? Shin yells at Vegeta to do it, as these two are much weaker than Buu was before, so now they can easily take them out and get this madness over with. Vegeta complies and launches a final flash at the two Buus, obliterating them completely, and stopping the threat. Babidi is in shock over this, and goes to escape, but Shin binds him, preventing him from escaping, as Kibito lands the finishing blow. The Supreme Kai thanks Vegeta for all of his help, and if he ever wants to get stronger, he's more than welcome to come and train on his planet. Vegeta thinks about the offer, but decides to decline, as he's got his kingly duties on this planet, so he's going to stay here for now. But he knows of others who would most likely want to go, and they're even stronger than he is. Shin is pretty surprised to hear this, and asks Vegeta who they are. A short while later, Shin returns to his planet, with Kakarot, Bardock, Raditz, and Piccolo, ready to train them up as Kais. We last left off with Bardock, Kakarot, Raditz, and Piccolo beginning their training under the Supreme Kai. King Vegeta put in a good word to the Kai about these guys, and of course they accepted. Since they're always up for more training, and training with even higher gods than King Kai, this sounds way too good to be true. Shin is a pretty good teacher, first seeing who can pull out the Z-Sword. Piccolo decided he'd be the first to get the sword out of the mountain, and just blast it away, catching the sword before it can hit the ground. Think smarter, not harder, he says. Kibito was pretty pissed about this, since Piccolo destroyed sacred ground, but Shin doesn't fret about it, since he managed to wield the Z-Sword anyways, so he sees it as an absolute win. While Piccolo is the one who uses the Z-Sword the most, the other Saiyans try it out as well, trying to use its heaviness to get even stronger. All of them manage to master the blade, becoming expert swordsmen, especially Piccolo, who completely outclasses the Saiyans in terms of ability with the blade. Shin hasn't only done Z-Sword training with these guys though, however, as hey, these guys could be excellent apprentice Kais, so maybe they should know all of the moves of one. Kibito helps in training these guys up as well, since he's pretty much a master of what Shin's trying to teach them. The Kai Kai, and healing. Kakarot gets the hang of the Kai Kai really quick, and is pretty psyched that he is finally able to teleport. Healing comes naturally to him as well, as does it for Bardock and Raditz. Healing takes a little bit for Bardock to get down, since he's more of an offensive guy, so his body naturally isn't built to be a healer, but he eventually does get the hang of it, just not on the level of his sons. Piccolo learns all of these moves in no time flat, mainly because the Namekians inside of him already had healing abilities, so learning it now just opened Piccolo up to even stronger healing abilities. Since he's able to combine the Kai variant with the Namekian variant, which makes him the best healer of them all. Shin and Kibito are insanely impressed with how powerful these mortals can get in such a fast pace. If these Saiyans and Namekian keep it up, maybe, just maybe, they could be a match for Lord Beerus himself. Speaking of Beerus, it's now that time when he's about to wake up and go on a search for the Super Saiyan God. Beerus asks Whis if there are still Saiyans out there, and Whis replies with yes, they are all currently residing on a planet called Earth, and the young Vegeta has become king. And there are also Saiyans currently on the Supreme Kai's planet training under him. Perhaps Saiyans training with a god are a good bet to face the Super Saiyan God. Beerus agrees and didn't think Shin would be able to take on any apprentices, but these Saiyans seem like a good challenge to him. Beerus and Whis make their way to the world of the Kais and encounter the Saiyans. Beerus asks the Saiyans for a fight, as he's looking to test them out and get a good battle. Kakarot would of course step up immediately to fight against Beerus, and the two engage in a brawl, with Kakarot in base. Kakarot in base here is much stronger than his canon counterpart at this point in the story, which leaves Beerus much more impressed with him than usual. He's still nothing to him though, as Kakarot can notice his attacks aren't doing anything, so he transforms into a Super Saiyan and steps it up. Kakarot uses the new Kai moves he was taught to be able to bounce around Beerus and keep him on his toes, which is really impressive since he's giving Beerus a rough time only in Super Saiyan. Beerus steps up his game as well though, using a bit more of his power and evening the odds. Kakarot has finally had enough of the warm-up and then transforms into what Beerus has been looking for, the Super Saiyan God. Beerus can instantly tell this is who he was looking for, the look, the aura, it's all godlike. This is the challenge he's been seeking all of this time. Finally, the Battle of Gods begins with the two clashing fists and completely tearing up the world of Kais. The others watch in awe as the battle intensifies. Kakarot is getting really excited, and he hasn't had a real fight like this in years, and he's savoring every second of it. Getting used to Beerus' moves and attempting to dish him back out at him even stronger. Beerus is having the time of his life fighting Kakarot, as he's keeping up with him completely, and showing no signs of stopping. Eventually, Beerus can notice that Kakarot is holding back even more power, and orders the Saiyan to stop holding it back and unleash everything he's got, if he actually wants the chance to win this thing. Kakarot obliges and powers up into his most powerful transformation, the perfected Super Saiyan Blue. Yeah, I gave Kakarot the perfected version, as remember, he's had access to Blue for many years now, and I'm 100% sure he'd be able to completely master the form in this time, and be able to use Blue to its full capabilities. Kakarot engages Beerus again, and they clash even more than before, with Beerus using even more of his power to keep up with Kakarot. Kakarot puts up an excellent fight, as Beerus actually begins to tire slightly. But in the end, Beerus is still the winner, knocking Kakarot back down to the ground in his base form. Beerus claims he's very impressed with the Saiyans' power, and he's looking forward to seeing them train even harder, and get totally on his level next time. In fact, if they're willing, he'll have them all come train on his planet with him and Whis. Kakarot would of course want to come along with Beerus, and train to get even stronger there, as he's felt like he's been hitting his limit with Shin, and wants significant boosts now. Bardock decides to join in with his son, as he can tell that Beerus' training is more of his style, and will give him the boost he needs as well. Raditz and Piccolo decide to stay here with Shin however, as the two of them believe they still have to hone in their skills here, and finish up all of their training with Shin, before jumping ship to train with somebody else. Beerus understands, and tells the two to suit themselves. And plus, he's a little relieved, as he can see that Piccolo is holding the Z-Sword, and he doesn't want that anywhere near him. Kakarot and Bardock leave with the gods to begin their new training. But instead of training with Beerus right away, they are trained by Whis, which actually isn't bad at all, as it's even more beneficial. The two have already mastered the god forms, so now Whis is trying his best to teach the two how to ascend to the next level, Ultra Instinct. Whis explains the fundamentals of the form, not needing to think about anything, and having your body move on its own, that way you don't need to be bogged down by wasted movement. Kakarot is already beginning to get this down, as he noticed Beerus was doing something like this during their fight, so he's already trying to get the hang of this technique. Bardock is having a bit more trouble with this however, as he wants to fully be in control of his mind and body while he fights, and this technique just doesn't suit him. He's still going to try his hardest to get to form, but he knows it's going to take a while. This training is super beneficial, and these two aren't the only ones who get some good training, as Piccolo and Raditz boost their powers a lot more as well, as Z-Sword training continuously boosts the two's strength. Finally, Shin decides to test out the Z-Sword on Kachin, as he's curious on how strong the sword actually is. But before he can throw it, Kakarot and Bardock kai themselves into way, and explain that there's a Universal Tournament coming up, and they're going to need some help. Apparently, the Universe 6 God of Destruction arrived, and put the idea of a Universe 6 vs Universe 7 tournament forth, and they're going to need 5 members. Raditz and Piccolo of course decide to join in, as it's a good challenge. Alright, they already have 4 fighters. The last fighter would definitely be King Vegeta. He's still got his kingly duties he has to attend to, but they still have Queen Bulma to take over, as the king will probably just be gone for maybe like a day. Team Universe 7 is formed, and the group go off to the tournament arena to see what exactly they're up against. The first match is between Raditz and Botamo, and while Raditz does have a hard time against Botamo's rubbery body, his time as a boxer makes it easy to land hard blows to push Botamo back, and knock him out of the ring. The next opponent turns out to be Frost, and seeing him immediately brings back Raditz's PTSD of Frieza, so he immediately transforms into his blue form for overkill and knocks Frost out, meaning nobody's going to find out yet about his true intentions. The next opponent is Magetta, and Raditz's boxing hits are more harmful than good, as Raditz hits as hard as he can, and that is more painful than effective, as Magetta's body is still too hard to put a dent in it. Raditz is still Raditz, however, and would 100% yell out a few less than nice words, making Vegeta bawl his eyes out and lose the match. The next match is against Kaba, and Raditz decides to pull a Vegeta and actually help train Kaba, trying to get him to become a Super Saiyan, and actually succeeding, becoming Kaba's teacher, and then winning the match himself. Finally, Hit arrives in the ring, ready to avenge the other fighters for his universe. Hit lays out Raditz in one blow, as Raditz is way too tired to land any successful blows. And the next opponent for Universe 7 is Bardock. Bardock transforms into Super Saiyan Blue and battles it out with Hit. At this point in Bardock's training journey, I'm going to say he's stronger than Hit, due to him training in Blue for many years, so he'd be on par, if not stronger than Hit. This doesn't really matter though, as Hit outclasses Bardock in terms of skill. The time skip really gets to Bardock, and taking so many powerful blows from Hit is really all too much for him, and he gets knocked out from the ring. Piccolo steps in next, and finally notices the time skip. He's heard of this power from the Namekian Book of Legend, which is knowledge he has from all of the Namekians he absorbed, and he's able to dodge and predict Hit's movements, and get him on the edge. Piccolo and Hit battle it out, with Piccolo actually having the advantage here, and really putting Hit on the back foot. The two are basically equals, and after a long and intense battle, Piccolo and Hit are exhausted. They've each given it their all, and can't go on anymore. Kakarot yells at Piccolo to just give up, as he's fought his hardest, and he'll take it from here. Piccolo hates admitting defeat, but decides it's really the only way to win, so he gives up as Kakarot comes in to land the final blow to Hit, and having Universe 7 be the victors. Champa wouldn't be very happy with this outcome, but I'm pretty sure Beerus would make the same wish as in canon to restore Universe 6's Earth, making Champa a little less angry at his brother. The fighters all return back to training, and unbeknownst to them, there's a Universe 10 Kai in training who has been watching them, and after the tournament, he's taking a particular liking to Piccolo. We start off this part with Zamasu on GodTube watching Universe 6 vs Universe 7 tournament. He's absolutely furious, seeing all of these mortals with the power of gods. They're only filthy mortals, why are they so powerful? Even more powerful than him as well. All of the Saiyans were insanely powerful in their god forms, but even they didn't compare to the power of the Namekian. This Namekian was able to get stronger on his own without the need for any transformation. This Namekian's power could be exactly what he needs to enact his Zero Mortals plan. With this power, he would be unstoppable to all the gods. Universe 7 though has many strong fighters, especially on Earth. There are so many powerful mortals that could disrupt his plans if he's not careful. Plus, even when he does manage to steal the Namekian's body, who knows if he's going to keep the power? He's going to have to train. Not in this body though, in Piccolo's. Zamasu spies on Piccolo, watching him train with Raditz on Shin's planet. And with Raditz's help, maybe he could gain even more power. He has to gain Raditz's complete trust, as if he can get him to trust him, then he'll be able to take out Shin without alerting Raditz. He needs Piccolo to be out of sight, however. How's he going to get Piccolo away from the Supreme Kai? There's only one way he can think of, a fight. And there's one person on Piccolo's radar that he knows of who will be able to match him and distract him long enough to enact his plans. Hit. Hit is really the only sort of villain that would be a good match for Piccolo at this point. And the only one who will willingly work with him, since as long as he pays well, Hit will go along with whatever Zamasu wants. Zamasu goes off to Universe 6 undetected, and tracks down Hit, paying him a large sum of Zenny and hiring him to take out Piccolo, but with special conditions. Hit needs to get Piccolo off of the Supreme Kai's planet and into Universe 6 without alerting too much trouble. Hit is a master-class assassin, so of course he says he'll get these orders down pat. Zamasu Kai's Hit over to Shin's planet, and lets Hit take care of the rest. Hit tracks down Piccolo and Raditz training and interrupts them. The two would obviously be surprised to see Universe 6's strongest warrior here so suddenly, and Hit says he doesn't mean them any harm. He's not here in any assassin business. He just wants to test his new skills against Piccolo, and see if one of them can win this time, and not just have it be a draw. Piccolo is curious to how Hit managed to get to this sacred realm without any ships, but doesn't question it too much, as he's been interested to see how well he fares with Hit, outside of the tournament rules. So Piccolo agrees to a fight. Hit says that's good, but it would be really nice to do it over on his home planet, where there isn't any life, so then go all out. Piccolo thinks this over, and realizes that this can't be a good sign, as this planet they're on now is completely deserted as well, and it would be a lot less suspicious if they just fought right here. Hit is getting a little annoyed now, trying his best to convince Piccolo to come with him. Of course, Piccolo isn't budging, and Zamasu himself is getting a little annoyed, and he teleports behind Raditz, knocking him out while his guard is down. Piccolo hears this and quickly turns around to see, and once he looks away, Hit goes up and strikes Piccolo right in the head, knocking him out with one blow. Zamasu takes the three away quickly, and Kai is back to where he's keeping the Super Dragon Balls. Zamasu makes the wish to Super Shenron to switch bodies with Piccolo, and that's exactly what he does. Piccolo and Zamasu switch bodies, and Hit quickly kills Piccolo in Zamasu's body, fulfilling his duty, and tells Zamasu it's all up to him now, and he's off to go continue with the rest of what Zamasu asked of him. Zamasu Kai's back to Shin, and Shin runs out asking what exactly happened, and Piccolo says that everything is fine, just that Hit arrived to the planet and asked for a rematch, but he said he wasn't up for it, so he brought him home. Shin is a little confused by this, how Piccolo didn't want to get in a fight, but he doesn't question it, as you never know with him. Raditz wakes up and asks what happened, with Piccolo saying that Hit got a couple of good hits in on him. Raditz is pretty pissed he got knocked out so easily, and Piccolo responds that's why the two of them have to train together more, and get their powers boosted. Zamasu changes into clothing a little more comfortable with Piccolo's clothes beam, and he keeps on training with Raditz. Raditz continues his training with Piccolo, and gets a very different vibe from him. His fighting pattern is very different, and it's not at all how Piccolo fights. His personality is different too. He's less headstrong, and mainly just wants to talk about why mortals are so strong. Raditz isn't stupid, this is not Piccolo. Without Piccolo suspecting anything, Raditz goes up to Shin and tells him about how different the Namekian is acting. And for some reason, he just knows that this isn't Piccolo. Shin begins to investigate more and more into Piccolo, and realizes how similar he is acting to another Supreme Kai in training that he met once. Maybe he should check up on this Kai, and see what exactly the matter is. Shin investigates into the Universe 10 Kai, Zamasu, and realizes there's nobody else on the Kai's realm. Where did Gowasu go? With the Kai gone, Shin begins to worry, and goes to contact Beerus, and see if he can get in contact with Universe 10's God of Destruction, just to make sure that everything is okay. Shin is about to get in contact with Whis, but before he leaves, he sees Kabito staggering into his room, telling Shin to get out of there, and he collapses to the ground, lifeless. Shin runs over to Kabito, seeing if he's okay, but without even noticing, he is struck in the heart by Hit, stopping it and killing the Kai. Piccolo enters the room, and asks Hit if he managed to do what he asked, and killed the rest of the Kais in the 12 universes. Hit claims that he was successful. All of the Kais have been killed, which means every god of destruction in the universe is now gone. All of these gods have been killed, with Zamasu being the only remaining deity in the multiverse. Zamasu pays Hit famously, telling him that he's done an excellent job. He's gotten used to his body by now, and can most likely use all of Piccolo's abilities. For now, if Hit stays with Piccolo, then he'll get all the riches that he wants. Hit says what the hell, as Zamasu has gotten him this far, so why not go above and beyond and get some more cash. Raditz senses the death of Shin and Kabito, running the location of their energies, and erupts into Super Saiyan Blue, rushing Piccolo and Hit. Piccolo Black powers up as well, engaging with Raditz, telling him he's been training them for a little while now, so he knows the way he fights. Raditz is pissed that he was right all along, and battles it out with Black, trying his best to take him out of commission. Black keeps boosting his powers more and more, countering Raditz's attacks and completely brutalizing him. Raditz isn't doing so hot, reverting back to base and barely being able to stand. Before Black can land a final blow, Raditz Kai is out of there, back to Beerus' planet, and finds his father and brother fast asleep. Raditz's appearance awakens Bardock, and he runs over to his son and begins to heal him to the best of his ability. Kakarot is awoken as well, and the Saiyan family discuss what has happened. They are also extremely worried about how Beerus and Whis have disappeared too, along with the death of Shin. So this means that the Saiyans are on their own this time. They need more than just them, so they all return back to Earth and meet with King Vegeta, asking him if he can help them out with Piccolo, Black, and Hit, as they're going to need all the help they can get, just in case he ever shows up here. Bulma is in the room as well, and says that she can go out and find the Dragon Ball for them, that way they can revive Shin, and with Shin brought back, then Beerus will come back as well. Vegeta tells Bulma that's an excellent idea, so he summons Trunks, gives him the Dragon Radar, and tells him to fly around the planet as fast as he can, to go get the Dragon Balls. Trunks says of course, and takes the radar to quickly go and gather the Dragon Balls. Vegeta has the Saiyan forces prepare themselves for battle, but only to be on standby for now, as they don't want to get themselves killed. As the Saiyans prepare for war, Black and Hit arrive on the planet. The four Saiyans were ready for them, and Kakarot is very saddened to see that Piccolo really did get his body stolen, and he's not among them anymore. Vegeta is disgusted by this, as he remembers what it was like to have his body stolen so long ago. So, he powers up into his most powerful form, the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 state, and rushes Black. The Saiyans are all shocked to see this power, as this is a combination of the Wrathful Saiyan state and the God state. It's incredible. Of course, even with all this power, it's not enough to overwhelm Black completely. Sure, Vegeta is putting up a really good fight and dealing some good damage, but with all of Piccolo's natural healing abilities and techniques, it's a lot tougher of a battle. Although, all of this regeneration comes at the cost of his power decreasing more and more. Hit notices this and goes to intervene, but the three Saiyans come in and try to help against him. Hit is able to fight them off through time skipping, pushing them off of him the best that he can, and since this isn't a tournament, Hit is able to use more of his assassin moves, and deal some heavy damage against the Saiyans. But similar to in canon, Kakarot begins to adapt to Hit's time skip, and manages to catch up to it, and fight off Hit more and more. And while Kakarot is distracting Hit by being able to keep up with him, Bardock and Raditz come in, dealing heavy blows. The Saiyan soldiers are all blasting at Black as well, protecting their king to the best of their ability. Now, sure, the Saiyan soldiers aren't on God level, but all of the high-level soldiers at least have Super Saiyan, and if they don't, the low-level soldiers would at least have the Wrathful form, and be able to deal some good damage on Black. Black is beginning to get annoyed, all of these mortals being a match for him, and gets himself and Hit out of there, flying up in the air, and launches a Hellzone grenade to get them away from him. Black throws one of his Patara earrings at Hit, telling him to put it on. As if they fuse, then they'll be unbeatable. Hit is pretty reluctant to merge, as he wants to act on his own accord, but Black tells him that they're going to die if they don't, so it's a literal do-or-die scenario. Hit is pretty angry, but decides that money is better than death, so he puts on the earring, and fuses with Black. The fusion is enormous and sends everybody flying back. All of the Saiyans are shocked, as they've never seen a fusion before, and they are all confused that this has happened. The fusion sticks out his finger, and uses a time cage to freeze the Saiyan soldiers in place, then uses his other hand to launch multiple special beam cannons directly at them, piercing through and killing them all. Merge Samasit lands down in front of the remaining Saiyans, telling them the Zero Mortals plan will be enacted, and there is nothing that they can do to prevent it. We left off with the birth of Piccolo Black, the fusion between Piccolo Black and Hit. The Saiyan soldiers have all been killed, and the only ones remaining are our main core heroes. All of them are very confused of this fusion. The Saiyans here have never seen anything like it, as nobody was ever in Otherworld long enough to learn about it. Vegeta is obviously very angry that his soldiers got killed in no time flat, so he rushes up to Piccolo, going in to get his revenge. Before Vegeta can land a blow, he is down on the ground, back into his base form. The other Saiyans are in complete shock. They didn't even see this fusion move at all. Apparently the time skip has improved so much greater than before. This is very, very bad. Goku, Bardock, and Raditz fire the signature moves right at Piccolo all at once, and it seems to hit him dead on, though it does nothing. Piccolo appears behind the Saiyans and smacks them all away, sending them into the dirt. Bardock gets up to attack more, but all of his vitals are struck before he can even react due to the time skip, and he reverts to base and collapses, critically injured. Raditz sees his father collapse and he screams out in rage. He can't let him die again. And he powers up his most powerful double Sunday and fires it right at Piccolo. Piccolo laughs, saying that this stupid Saiyan never learned his lesson, and deserves what's coming to him. Piccolo easily sidesteps the blast, appears in front of Raditz, and with one shot to the gut, Raditz is down. Kakarot stares in horror, as everybody was taken down so fast. What is it that he can do now? The only way out of this alive is to escape, but where is he going to go? If he leaves now too, the Earth is going to be destroyed. As Kakarot is thinking of what to do, the sky goes dark. Piccolo looks up into the sky and wonders what is happening. Kakarot smiles. Oh yeah, the Dragon Balls! Trunks must have gathered them all and is bringing Beerus back to life. Piccolo notices Kakarot smiling and demands to know what is going on. Kakarot isn't talking though, so the fusion begins to brutally beat on the Saiyan, demanding he tell him what is going on. Kakarot isn't talking, and before Piccolo just kills him, he sees a purple energy spear coming right at him, and he quickly drops Kakarot and moves out of the way. Beerus lands on the battlefield, completely pissed as all hell. Shinren got himself killed by this guy, so he now has to pay for it. He isn't the biggest fan of dying either, and he's not going to let this evil Kai get away with killing him. It's finally time for the God of Destruction to interfere. Piccolo is kinda nervous, as this is why he killed all the Supreme Kais in the first place, to make sure they didn't have to fight a God of Destruction. But hey, luckily now that he's fused, he actually might have a chance this time. Especially with all of his time skip abilities. Piccolo tries to trap Beerus in a time cage, but Beerus is able to crash right through it, and launch right to diffusion.
and he begins to battle it out with him. Piccolo was not expecting Beerus to be so upfront, and struggles to dodge his blows and counter. The only thing Piccolo has disadvantage is trapping Beerus into time lag, which slows Beerus down considerably. With Beerus slowed down, Piccolo launches hundreds of catch-in blocks at the god, hoping to crush him. The blocks all begin to shake, and are dusted away in a purple glow as Beerus launches out of the rubble, shooting loads of Hakais. Piccolo uses his time skip to avoid all of these and catch up to Beerus. Beerus isn't playing any more games, and begins to really land some heavy blows on the fusion, making him spit out blood. Piccolo is only able to get away by time skipping. He then opens up portals to hit Beerus, which he wasn't expecting, and Beerus is bombarded with blows coming out of random portals. Especially with the time lag, it doesn't help. Beerus is much stronger than Piccolo, but the damn fusion is cheating by slowing down time, and forcing him to get hit way more than he should. He's a god of destruction. How is a fake Namekian fusion slowing him down? He's going to need to up his power to get out of the skip. The only way he can do that is his imperfect Ultra Instinct. This is something that Beerus has in the manga, which is a form of the Ultra Instinct Omen form that Goku used in canon. Of course, Beerus would probably look the same using this, but I just want to show off that Beerus really is using this form. So, this is what an Ultra Instinct Beerus would look like. Beerus is able to break out of the time lag with his Ultra Instinct, and he begins to avoid all of the blows coming through Piccolo's portals. He then launches himself at Piccolo, who tries to blast a God coming for him, but Beerus is able to avoid all of the blows with his imperfect Ultra Instinct. Beerus is so fast with this too, that he appears behind Piccolo, and before the fusion can even react to what just happened, Beerus Hakais him off the face of the planet. Kakarot sees this form of Beerus's, and is in complete awe. That was amazing! Was that really Beerus's full power? He's never seen Beerus use a form like that before, and with it, he beat Piccolo in no time flat. Whis goes up to knocked out Saiyans and brings him back up to full health. Beerus tells them all that he's not mad at them, since this wasn't their fault that this happened, but he wants them all to start training with him, as in case something like this happens again, he wants them all to take care of it. The Saiyans say of course, and Beerus goes off with Whis to go beat the crap out of Shin. Trunks returns, and Vegeta asks Trunks what he exactly wished for, and Trunks says that he wished those back who were killed by Piccolo Black, and with the second wish, he wished for him never to be able to find a Dragon Balls, just in case. Vegeta is proud of his son for the help, and says he's going to be going off-world soon to go and train with the God of Destruction. That way he can get strong enough to defeat any new threats. Meaning Trunks and his mother are going to be in charge of the kingdom. A big change too is that Piccolo's returned to life as well, though he didn't come back in his body. Rather, he returned in Zamasu's body. Except since he died in another body, and was dead for quite a while, his soul mutated trying to become both bodies, which is pretty much what happened here. Meaning Piccolo still looks like Zamasu, but he has those Piccolo quirks to him. He's okay with keeping this body too, since he still has all of his power, and now he has some Kai potential as well, so it seems to all work out for him. All of these guys begin to train under Whis, with Kakarot now having the gateway he needs into Ultra Instinct, after seeing Beerus use a version of it. Kakarot obviously isn't able to perfect this form of course, but since he is so powerful and skilled at this point, he's able to gain complete control of Omen, before even a Tournament of Power. The other Saiyans don't really want to tap into Ultra Instinct, especially Bardock and Vegeta, as that style just doesn't suit them very well. Bardock is more focused on evolving the Wrathful Super Saiyan form that Vegeta showed off before. After all, he is the one who created the Wrathful Super Saiyan form in the first place, so being able to evolve that into the realm of the gods would really show off how powerful he's become. Now, I just want to tell you guys that I have been dreading going into the Tournament of Power for this scenario. As to be perfectly honest, it's not going to be very interesting at all. Everybody in our group is leagues ahead of where they were in canon, so the entire tournament is pretty much going to be a curb stomp of everything. Even more so than it was in canon. Look at it like this. The FighterZ Universe 7 would be Kakarot, Vegeta, Bardock, Raditz, Piccolo, Nappa, Broly, Gohan, Trunks, and Kami. Literally all of these guys minus Broly have access to Godly Ki, since they've trained with somebody with God Ki. The team would be overpowered and broken, meaning no enemies would be able to do anything, and the literal only threat would be Jiren. Since the fighters are all so powerful though, I'm pretty sure everybody would be able to fight off against Jiren. And since Kakarot already has good control over Ultra Instinct Omen, Jiren is going to be taken out much faster than anybody else. Meaning this arc would be wrapped up very, very fast, with it ending similar to what it did in canon. Again, I know that was a very short explanation of Tournament of Power, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you probably wanted more from it. But I didn't want to drag out this video with more pointless fighting, as it's just going to end with everybody who tangles Universe 7 being completely destroyed. However, we're not done with this video quite yet, as Moro would still break out of the galactic prison. He wouldn't know anything about the Dragon Balls though, as Cranberry, who was the one who gave more of the information about the Dragon Balls, was most likely killed by Frieza when he blew up his capital back in Part 2. And he was never revived and arrested, meaning Moro would just try and go and absorb a bunch of other planets. The Galactic Patrol would come in to get some help, and of course Kakarot and the others would be tracked down to go and help find him. The ones who would probably go face Moro are Kakarot, Bardock, and Raditz. And they would track down Moro and try to face him down. Moro was able to kinda get the upper hand on the random planet, due to his energy absorption, but once Kakarot begins to notice it, he can just go Ultra Instinct and knock out Moro before he even has the chance. Or if he can't do that for some reason, Piccolo or Vegeta could teleport in, and end Moro before he has a chance to kill anybody. In the end, Moro would get curb stomped and either die or be sent back to the Galactic Prison, ending Moro as well. Granola wouldn't happen either, since Frieza's been dead for quite a long time, meaning he would nobody to go after for revenge. This scenario would wrap itself up, with Bardock eventually mastering the Wrathful Super Saiyan Blue state first, with Vegeta getting it shortly after. Bardock's age is also catching up with him too, and the rapid aging is soon going to hit him. For now, it's best if we just retire from fighting, and let the king and his sons do their best to protect the universe from now on. Bardock retires to Grandpa Gohan's house, where him and Guinea can live out the rest of their lives peacefully together. With that, we finally end What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans. While this may have seemed like an ending without much in it, this is really all that these Saiyans wanted anyways. To do what they wanted in peace. Bardock and Guinea always wanted to live out their lives together with each other, and have their family be safe and sound, which worked out well for them. Their sons are now the strongest mortals there are, and they're watching over and protecting the universe now. They can both finally rest and be happy.
But hey guys, Damon here. I just wanted to cut in before this video cut out because I wanted to totally explain the ending of What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans. And not explain it really, but just to say, thank you all so much for watching this series. Like, What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans was what brought me on the map, which is my most popular video to date right now, which I'm pretty sure is over 81,000 views, which is insane, because I've always wanted to like make Dragon Ball videos on my channel. I've been obsessed with Dragon Ball since I was a little kid, and the fact that this series is what really made people know me really makes this series mean so much to me. Because if I never made What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans, then I probably wouldn't be as popular as I am now. And the fact that now that I'm all caught up at the end of the series for now, it's like a really big, I don't know how to describe it really. Like, it doesn't hurt, but it sucks to have to be ending this series, because this series really is such a close series to my heart, because it's what really got me to become a Dragon Ball YouTuber. And without this video, I probably never would have been launched up there the way I was. So I just want to give this series a super huge thanks, because every single episode of this series is over 10,000 views as of recording this video. And that's not something I can say for all of my series. The only one that ever comes close is What If Damon was in Dragon Ball. But like everything else, like this series is the only one to have over 10,000 views for each video, which is amazing, and it really shows that people really are invested in this series as much as I am. So, I just want to say thank you to What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans for really launching me up to have people know me. Because when I announced this in the Discord, everybody was saying that this was the series that really got them into me, and that they're really sad to see it go. And I'm sad to see it go too. As much as I would love to continue it, this is the perfect place, in my opinion, since I wrote it, to end this story, as it's really like the culmination of everything. Bardock and Guinea are happy now, which are, the whole series is based around them, bringing Goku to Earth and Goku remembering them. So Bardock and Guinea finally got what they wanted, which is just a nice peaceful life. And Bardock and Raditz are now the strongest beings in the universe, fighting off maybe even the multiverse, maybe. Well, strongest mortals at least. So they're living their happy lives now, and I don't want to bog them down with more stories just to drag out the series. I want these guys to be happy with what they wanted and just relax and have a nice couple years off to just lounge around and do what they do best, training with each other. So, I just want to thank you all again so much for watching What If Goku Remembered the Saiyans, and I hope that you guys
don't just leave this channel after this series, because there's going to be a whole lot more series going on. Like, I hope you guys don't just think that Goku Remembered the Saiyans is done, so I can leave now. Like, you can if you want to, I'm not going to stop you. But, like, but just letting you know that I have a whole lot more coming out for you guys. And I want to thank you all again so much. So, until we meet again, you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching. Until we meet again, see you later!